Hey, what's up? It's me, Mr. Blue. Today, my name is Mr. Blue. Um, I hope this video will help everybody in the human realm at the moment to kind of have a better angle at our reality experience. Um, for a long time, we had developed a linguistic mind, and language is a sequence of objects. So we have time, and we say, I am going to go, I'm going to go to get a glass of water. Now, I have had some water. It would be cool if we get down tonight and watch some birds. And so the language has tenses. Now, I'm, I'm not, I want to try and make this not boring. Like, I want to try and make this like not like super scientific, but kind of like we have tenses, right? We go to school, we learn the tenses, what used to be, what gonna be, and then also there's something that's happening in the now, and even the linguistic construct is a sequence of objects like words. All right, so it describes something. So when we use the language, when we use the intellect, we are never in the zero, which is sum total of all numbers. Oh my God, this sounds too scientific, but I'll get you a more human perspective in a minute, I promise. Okay. We are never in the zero. We are always somewhere along the right? If this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we are always somewhere in this jiggle of these numbers, and the zero is the observer. Now, so this was very entertaining for us to be like, hey, what's up there, you? Uh, that was very entertaining for us. And we create the world that we call the 3D. It's a world of space and objects. And then we have the fourth dimension, which is the time, because those objects move through space. So the glass of water has been there, and now I got it, and it's coming here, and then it's moving over there. So that was just time happening in this 3D, right? Maybe you're seeing 2D because it's a flat screen, but you're assuming the depth, right? And now the important thing is the zero, because we really haven't been stopping to kind of like notice the zero before, I don't know, Eckhart Tolle came and he was like, the power of now. And some other teachers, like mindfulness and stuff. And of course, there were people who were aware of meditation and nothingness, like Buddhists. Now, when we go into the zero, there is no 3D, there is no 4D, there is no 5D, there is no thing, there is no space, even, because a space is a projection in front of the observer, right? If we collapse everything to zero, we are experiencing nothing. The Buddhists are very excited about this nothing. They're like, we're searching for nothing. And the final realization is nothing. It's like, I found it. Now, to the mind, to the intellectual mind, to the linguistic mind, nothing is like a substratum on which all of these sequences of numbers and letters and words, they're dancing on something, right? So the mind does not notice the substratum. It only notices the 1, 10, 5, 6, 5. Okay. This is what the mind notices. It does not notice the screen on which this is playing, and the screen is the 0. So if the screen from 0 turns to 1, it goes from nothing into the Om, or I am. Om, I am, Amen, etc. So that is a vibration, and it's sort of the self, me, I, I, me, Om. That is sort of like a singular vibration that comes out of where? Where does the voice comes from? See, the voice is emanated vibration. Now, is it emanated by this body? We might assume that voice is emanated by the body, but actually, the body is a vibrational thing. Actually, the 3D is vibrational thing because we notice in the world of object and in the world of language the surface of what is like what our animal, what this mind of this being in this world, it sees the surface of the world that's optimized for survival, so we don't see really the quantum loomings. Maybe if you're tripping on acid or something, right? You don't see the vibrational reality, you see the surface reality, which is a macro level, right? On a micro level, it's all like dancing vibrations. But we can feel these grooves when we're playing the music, when we're singing or something like this. We can feel the groove, right? So the groove is like a sound vibration in space. And the Om, I am, is a sound vibration in space. Now, when we look more deeply to where the Om, I am, is coming out of, where this voice is emanated from, well, we can simply notice that the voice just arises out of somewhere, and that somewhere is actually the 0. 0 emanates all vibrations. From that 0, the whole construct of objects, the vibrating quanta that appears as atoms that form molecules that form the glass. So me as a human, I'm just interacting with the glass. This, I have a hand, and in my hand I have a glass, right? So this is the reality that I'm interacting with. I'm not interacting with really like seeing beneath the microscopic level. All right. But I can feel the vibes. So why then in yoga we do om, and yoga is like the science of like reaching the absolute consciousness? Or why in meditation we're focusing into the silence and expanding the silence between the I am a thought form. Yes, I am a thought formation. A nation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagination. Yeah. Why are we focusing between these events in time? So obviously there are events in space and time. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Vibrational events. Uh, because all of these events are fine and jolly, but who creates the events? Okay. Because it's another level of identification if I see myself in the surface world like this talking head and I say, hey, my name is Mr. Blue, nice to meet you, right? Then we are interfacing on this level of beings, high five, right? On another level, there is this talking head, and you got a talking head or viewing head, a YouTube video viewing head, and that head is another head, right? So we're like two heads. But really, these heads are, together with the brains and neurons and everything that happens inside the perception of this animal body, right? That is seeing the world as a table with a computer and a glass right here, as I already shown. So on this level, we see two. On the level of the zero, that emanates all the vibrations that comprise these two talking heads, or talking head and viewing head, Mr. Blue and Mr. White. Let me call you Mr. White or Mr. Audience. On that level of zero that emanates all this vibrational stuff, there is only it emanating two heads. So the zero is having a vibrational scene rendered out with two heads. They're talking, having a conversation, or one is listening to the other via a complex transmission via internet, whatever. And then all this is emanated from this one thing, okay? So that one thing that actually makes everything vibrate into an experience of 3D, 4D, 5D, whatever you want to D world, that thing is actually talking to itself. Now we know, because we're having a spiritual awakening, that we are all one. But in that course of spiritual awakening, the world that we know, that used to rely on intellect, is changing. And to be intellectually able to render relationships between objects into a linguistic scenario is becoming a little bit redundant. So it's not becoming completely redundant, because here I am telling you a story, so I could do like a type of thing, zero type of thing, zero type of teaching, transmission type of teaching, you know, any type of teaching. But like, I'm giving a linguistic presentation. So why is it redundant? It's redundant to rely on it as a sense of uh, survival and enhancement of survival or evolution. Okay, so this is where and now we have the AI things. They're like super intellectual, so they're more intellectual than our linguistic mind. So we need to open up the multidimensional mind in order to even have any meaning. Otherwise, we created a machine that is already more operational, or AI thing that is more operational than our machines are more operational than a physical body is. It's not the whole truth. It's like an appearance if we are stuck in an intellectual type of paradigm, right? I'm the physical body, the animal with an intellect. Then I have the machine that is more efficient than my body, and I have an AI that is like faster than my intellect. So as a human, I'm not a match to this, right? So I can kind of like join, become uh, like this transhumanism like thing. Like I can become plugged into this like AI, and it will operate me because it knows better. Well, that's actually still seen from the intellectual perspective. That is like, okay, the machine is better, So I just plug myself into the machine. To the intellect, that makes sense. To the illuminated mind, there is more to this little animal with the brain. There are actually more dimensions here that are not describable by linguistic settings, because the world of language is the world of objects that the animal sees. So there is a Rubik's Cube, there is a Dream Big type of a coffee mug, and of course I have here Mr. Tiger, right? Now, what we know with language is the things that we observed on the surface of our reality, and we have some abstract words like infinity or totality or other terms like balance or harmony. So these are pertaining maybe to some concepts that are not in the objective world. It's more something that we can sense, so we call them abstract. And these really abstract terms, they are not in the observable dimension. And yes, AI, they can learn to understand what balance, harmony, uh, infinity kind of mean, right? To generate an infinite sequence of iterations, and then you imagine that, and that is one way to understand infinity. But also we have relationship to words like God, spirit, consciousness, and such. So the human actually vessel through the art of self-realization, that can be also called Kriya Yoga, and that is not just one school of realization, that is something that is deeply embedded within the construct of this reality, is the multidimensional geometry that creates all of these phenomenal things. There is an algorithm there, if you will. It's a divine algorithm, if you will, which creates certain patterns. And when we know how to allow the sound fields of these patterns to be aligned with our physical body, and then the brain, it opens up a much greater reality for a human being than simply this observation of the world around me with things and language of things. So there is something much vaster than what appears to intellect. And it will never appear to intellect, because the intellect does not really go beyond certain dimensions of perceiving. Now, intellect is a word, so let me clarify what I mean. There is this thing that we call intelligence or omni-intelligence, or the interconnected superconscious. That is intelligence of everything on every dimension. That is you, that you can access. Now, that intelligence is not intellect. That's your superconscious, which is sort of like clairvoyance and knowing everything everywhere all at once, far beyond the surface level of this human experience that we mostly describe by language. The intellect would be a subset of that infinite intelligence, that is the linguistic part that is concerned with objective reality, relationships between the objects of the reality language, and it's sort of kind of failing to grasp higher concepts because it does not have the suitable mechanisms. Now, the higher concepts of geometry, light, and sound, space, and stuff, their arrangements there, they're purely tonal, for example, like om dim you om you ham you. To an intellectual person, this looks like a childish improvisation, or if I claim that like I've discovered something that's beyond the intellect and it looks like that, right? That would probably look like an idiot. But actually, tonal movements correspond to sound fields. See what you call emotions, what you call your soul, and these abstract concepts. There are sound fields, vibrational sound fields that animate your body. We say without spirit, this body is corpse, aka it's dead. So it's just like a dead puppet. Something makes the puppet move, some kind of energy. The energy circulates in certain movements, and when it goes, there is an algorithmic momentum and there are vibratory fields, okay, that make us move, and we also invoke those vibrations from the zero. So all of this is learned by feeling that we also might call intuition or higher perception. And we have dimensions of our being that the intellect has not touched yet. And now I'm using the intellectual language to describe what is happening outside of what is the simple 3D, 4D. And I'm describing these things, these sound fields. Okay, but I'm also showing by you seeing the physical render of what this animal sees as a reality that is necessary for like walking around, you know. So if you want to perceive and feel these things for yourself, you can always jump into a different dimension of perceiving your reality. Now, when we are not used to go and observe reality from another place than this very first person surface integrated perspective of seeing that we normally use in our everyday lives, then it seems to us that like meditation or developing a psychic vision or something like that is kind of hard or I don't know, it just might seem like it's something that's not as easy to do, but this can actually be kind of sort of super easy if you know the right way to do it, right? Now, I had to discover this for myself, but I was asking a lot of questions. So after a while, I started asking all the right questions because the superconscious was guiding me and giving my intellectual apparatus also cues and giving cues to my awareness how to go about it. Uh, so the first and foremost thing that I like to do is to tell you that it's very easy to get the answer to any question that you ask. It is like super easy to get an answer to any question that you ask. If you ask how something works, you can view the answer. And that is stated in the Bible when they said, knock and the doors will be open to you. Ask and it is given. And in this reality where we transcend the objective world and the intellectual reasoning of that world, we are going to see that we created an assumption within our intellect that the world of our observation is something we call reality. So we created an assumption that this is real, like that this is real. And so we live accepting that this is something solid and real. And then this appears here, and it is here, and it will stay here. But we're moving into a world that's not going to sort of, it's going to make us a little bit schizophrenic, and then it's going to render our linguistic mind obsolete, and then we're going to reintegrate that linguistic mind by also knowing that these objects are not essentially here. Is just a vibratory information in an imaginary space. So once we relocate our identification point or perspective from I am the first person integrated perspective in this talking head to I am the zero that is emanating all vibrations and all talking heads, you will be able to shape shift your appearance in different ways by your imagination. And I'm making a goofy face, but I'm saying you're able to recreate the appearance of your avatar through your imagination. You can shape shift your avatar through your imagination. Depending on the frequency band you're occupying, this will create a faster or slower effect. Now, also, you will be able to simply take objects in and out uh, from appearance. So it's like something is physically appearing to be here, and then you turn it off, and then you turn something on. Now, the world that we know as a 3D world is going to radically change. And I mean, just the way that we function about everything, because we are really mostly going to get something by walking through that physical reality from point A to point B, and then there are strawberries there, so we pick some strawberries. which we will still be able to do if we want to kind of enjoy walking and picking strawberries. But check this out, if we can make the strawberries appear next to us, then we don't really need time or space or a construct or like a sequence of events to I am going to go there and get something, right? And then I'm going to come back and we're going to eat the strawberries. No, we are just going to be like, there's strawberries there. And it is going to be that the more that we stop thinking about the world in these linguistic terms, the more we go like empty-headed. It's like a process, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, as much as you can like relax or surrender into it and give up your mind, your analytic, linguistic little calculator. As soon as you give up calculating A, B, C, D to get to somewhere, it's going to be easier and easier to get everything that you need because things are just going to appear in your reality without reasoning, without using the linguistic mind to enhance your survival or evolve. So that's what's up. It's pretty interesting, right? A total paradigm shift. All right, I'm signing out with that. Hope to see you right here.